Welcome to Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance, and we are joined today by Janice Hahn. She is a member of the United States Congress, also a candidate for the Board of Supervisors in Los Angeles County, which begs the question for many folks, being a member of Congress, the pinnacle of a career, to come back and run for Board of Supervisors. What does that mean? Why is that important to you? Why did you make that decision?
Well, it's great to be with you.
Thank you,
Brad.
of course.
I cut my political teeth in local government.
You did.
I served for 10 years on the Los Angeles City Council, so I learned to get consensus, to work with everybody, to solve problems. So to go to this particular Congress in what some people describe as, the most partisan it's ever been, was sort of a shock for me to see the partisan bickering. And sometimes you feel like there's zero cooperation between both sides. I found that when the Board of Supervisors seat opened up, it was a great opportunity for me to come home and be on a local governmental body that I could do just that, build consensus and get things done.
And let's talk about LA County, a very large county, 10 million people. If you're elected, you will be representing 2 million people, bigger than 10 states, double the size of your congressional district. God bless you, but how can one get things done? How can one be responsive when you're representing 2 million people?
I think one of the things that is to your advantage is, of course, there's 5 members of the board, which means, as my father used to say, you only need to count to 3.
And let's remind our viewers, your father was a member of the Board of Supervisors, a legendary member. And are you running for the same seat, technically?
Technically, I'm not running for my dad's seat, and he was there 40 years. But this is this is the 4th supervisorial district. He was represented the 2nd.
But is it some of the same territory?
It's not.
It's not,
It's not. It's a very different district. I live in the 4th district. But, I grew up watching him, and he also, represented over a million and a half people. But you know what? I guarantee you, people in his district never felt like he wasn't accessible to them, or never felt like he wasn't there to solve their problems. And I think it's a different relationship with the Board of Supervisors and their constituents.
And I think about the 4th supervisorial district. Very diverse, very eclectic. You've got some very wealthy communities on the south end, more challenged communities as you head up the freeway. So how do you serve the needs of both?
I think, most places are built with neighborhoods and communities. And I think I look at this more as sort of you're running for almost mayor of a small city.
You're not the first person that said that. I mean, you literally are.
Yeah, you learn each community's needs, each neighborhood's desires, and you figure out how you can bend county government to help them.
And let me ask you, does the 4th have large areas of unincorporated areas?
There are unincorporated
because there
areas.
You really kind of are the mayor.
You are the mayor and the city council in the end. But you oversee the sheriff's department. So you oversee the jails, you oversee the beaches and the harbors, you oversee health care, foster care, children's services. So, there's a lot of issues that certainly everyone cares about. And public safety, I'm sure, is one of those that every neighborhood probably wants the same thing.
I recently had a chance to speak with Hilda Solis. She is a member of the Board of Supervisors now. Her career path is remarkable. Member of the state legislature, member of Congress, Secretary of Labor for the United States of America. And it's not, I'm not breaking any news, she came home to run for the Board of Supervisors. You're coming home to run for the Board of Supervisors. What is it about this position that is so attractive, in the best sense, to those that want to serve Angelenos?
I think in the best sense, it's a place where once you see what the problem is, once you hear what the problem is, you have a better chance of solving that problem at the local level than you do in the United States Congress. Congress moves very slowly. There are things I've been trying to get done now for 4 years, and it's much more difficult, particularly in the partisan way it's set up. If you're in the minority, it's much more difficult to get something done. I've worked on a few issues that are very bipartisan.
I had the honor of interviewing Bill Huizenga, a member from Michigan, a Republican. He spoke glowingly of you. You had worked together on a ports and harbor bill that wound up being passed, I believe.
Yes.
So let's talk more about transportation, if I may. You know better than I, the Highway Transportation Trust Fund is, I don't want to say broke, but is it broke? Well,
July 31st, it would have been broke.
Okay, well, fortunately it's not. But here's what we do know. We do know that the gas tax has not been increased since the Clinton administration. And we do know that people are driving cars that are more fuel efficient. So you combine those two, more fuel efficient cars, no increase in gas tax, and the Highway Trust Fund is desperately in need of funds. What can you tell us about where we're going on this issue?
Well, first of all, in a good year, the Highway Trust Fund raises about $36 billion, but we know that the needs we have in this country for infrastructure is about $50 billion. So every year we're already short with the current gas tax, but you're right. We're encouraging people to drive fuel-efficient vehicles. I myself drive an all-electric vehicle.
I have a Prius.
I haven't been to a gas station in 4 years. So there is a disconnect between how we typically raise money for the Highway Trust Fund and what's happening in terms of the kinds of cars people are driving.
Let me ask you, in California, as you may know, there's a special session going on in Sacramento. I know you're not a member of that legislature, to look at transportation questions and transportation funding. And there is a consideration to provide I'll call it a surcharge for low emission or no emission vehicles, maybe $100 a vehicle. What do you think of that federally, statewide? What do you think?
I agree with that. I've actually proposed that at the federal level.
I see.
I think it's great that some of us are driving more fuel-efficient vehicles. I love it that I'm driving an all-electric vehicle, but I drive the roads. I drive the bridges. I don't see why I should be exempt from helping to pay for that. So I have also suggested maybe a flat fee or a miles traveled.
And let's talk about VMT.
Yeah, VMT.
VMT is getting a lot of noise, and I really want to dig in deep, if I can, on this issue. We know in Europe VMT is fairly popular, London, other major cities. Pluses and minuses, people have talked about VMT. On the one hand, one could say, look, I use the road X amount, I'm putting that much wear on the road, I should pay my share. But especially in Los Angeles and the surrounding counties, some of us live far out, not by choice. You know, it's very expensive to live in Southern California. And so I'm wondering if a VMT, in your mind, is a bit regressive. And is it fair to charge those that drive more because maybe...
Correct. And in fact, federally or across this country, there are states and congressional districts that are rural. And they drive hours to get places, and many of them object to that idea. My sense is, let's put everything on the table. Maybe it's a combination of gas tax, vehicle miles traveled, or a flat user's fee. But I think we need to do something. Just yesterday in Congress, we kicked that can down the road until December.
Why is it that Congress continues to kick down the can on this issue?
Because I think there's not a lot of courage to talk about other ways to raise money to fund our infrastructure. But I will tell you, our infrastructure in this country is crumbling. 50% of all the roads in California are bad. We hit potholes today coming here to this studio. Every California driver, by the way, pays a $760 pothole tax because that's the average it takes us to maintain our cars because of bad roads. So Congress needs to figure this out. They need to have some courage and not kick the can down the road.
And you'll come back and talk about it?
Yes.
Her name is Janice Hahn. She is a member of the United States Congress, also a candidate for the Board of Supervisors in Los Angeles County. That election will be held in June 2016. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us on Charter Local Edition.